has this one. No, I just realized that today.
Hey, all right. How's it going? It is the Dead Man's Tome podcast with your host, Shitface. My name is now Shitface because I lost a bet in Mortal Kombat 2 to Bo Chapel. Yeah. That is what it is. But the show is still streaming live from Trailer Park deep in the heart of Meth County, Texas on a AOL connection, 56K modem. That's what it seems like anymore. Especially the prior show. God, that was awful. That was awful. Hopefully, I pray to Baby Cthulhu or Baby Jesus or whoever I need to pray to that tonight we don't have any technical issues, no Wi-Fi hiccups or anything. If I have to bring a goat into this garage to slaughter it, I will do so. I will do so. Okay. I got that on my system, I think. All right, with us tonight, it's just me. SK is out. Tammy's out. I don't know what they're doing. They must be doing something. Speculate. But tonight we have Josh Schlossberg and Gary Robbe. Robbe. There we go. I should know your last name by heart because you've been like a supporter since like the very beginning.
Yeah. But that's all right. No one ever gets my name right, so don't feel bad.
No one gets
Josh's name right either.
You can just call us by our first initials.
Yeah, JS and GR. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what we'll do from now on.
You know, I'm just calling you by your last names here. Schlossberg, is that how I say it? It's Schlossberg.
Pretty good.
Schlossberg.
Yeah,
okay.
I wasn't do it as well that time, but good enough.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're having goat for Thanksgiving, right?
If I have to. I'd rather not, but, you know, it's not my favorite kind of meat. You know, it's not that good. It's an acquired taste, right?
Yeah. It's kind of I've got to be careful. Texas trailer park staple.
No, you don't have to be careful with me, man. You're not going to offend me. Don't worry about that. Okay. So, guys, for those who don't know who you are and what y'all do, well, who are y'all and what do y'all do? Let's start from there.
Okay. Gary Robbe. I'm a retired teacher, current writer, editor. That's about it. I keep a low profile. So I'm building my recluse reputation.
Look at that. All right.
Thomas Pynchon would be proud.
Same with Cormac McCarthy, right?
Cormac McCarthy, right.
No one even knows if he's still alive. You're a little bit more social than him, though.
Yeah. But I'm building to that where no one will know whether I'm alive or not.
That's the goal that we all aspire towards.
Right.
Okay. So you don't have like a secret career as a porn star or anything?
No, I put my past behind me.
One step at a time. Okay. All right.
That reputation will haunt me forever, right?
All right. I mean, if people can find the videos, though, right? That's the thing. Okay. Well, what about for you, Josh? Who are you? What do you do?
VHS. That's
Super 8, probably.
Super 8. Right?
That's Super 8. Oh, shit. Then you're safe.
I'm safe. Yeah,
I don't think anybody knows how to operate a Super 8 anymore. They wouldn't know what to do with that. Not the ones that will take you down anyway. Not the woke Twitter army SJW types and people that will take you down. You'll be fine.
I'm safe.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
very
safe. Super safe. All right. What about for you, Josh? Who are you and what do you do?
I'm pretty much just some guy. I walk around the mountains a lot and I think about weird stuff in nature. And sometimes I write it down just to purge the demons in my head.
Well, that sounds like a lot of us. Have to purge the demons from inside your head.
That's pretty much what I do all day, every day. I'm getting there.
Well, I'm doing it now with his beard and a cigar. Oh man. So what happens if you don't write? Like, are you just dealing with a bunch of voices?
I never don't write, so I haven't found out, and I hope never to find out.
Oh, that'd be horrible. That'd be horrible.
Well, we might be reading about it someday, but
Yeah, it'll be in the paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's gonna be the article right there. A horror writer freaks out after trying to in November. It's right. You write every day. What did you try to do? Like 1K, 2K, 5K words. I don't know how many words do you write in a day, Josh and Gary?
I don't keep track of stuff like words, really. And there's different parts of the writing process. Sometimes the writing process is me literally walking around just mumbling to myself, thinking of plot twists.
Right.
But yeah, I'm less of a words per day kind of guy, more just like the time that I put into it. So usually when I'm working on stuff, I like to put in at least an hour a day in the morning, hour and a half. It depends on what's going on. But consistency is the key.
Consistency is the key.
But I've not been writing as much because we've been focusing so much on stuff around Terror at 5280, our anthology. So that's actually been, it's not
an overwhelming project.
It's been a bit time consuming, but soon, I'll be getting to work on a new novel. Been writing short stories though, so all is well. No one has to fear my wrath because I'm still writing.
Okay, so
the world is a safer place
for now
because you're writing. Because if there's ever a day or maybe a week where you go without it, I'm guessing that's when we'll hear about it in the newspaper or newspaper. Who even reads the newspapers anymore? That's how we're going to hear about it on Twitter. Horror author goes ballistic, goes crazy, murders family or something. Murders a bus of school kids or something. I don't know. Something crazy, something wild.
I'm not making any promises one way or another.
And this is why this show's demonetized, by the way, because it's so.
Thanks.
Okay. What about for you, Gary? What's your writing process? How many words you put in a day? Since November.
I am a impulse writer, so I will write if I'm really motivated. I can write for hours.
Right.
Most of the time, I'm very, very slow and methodical. So if I put down 5, and I'm like Josh, I don't count words, but if I put a couple paragraphs together and feel good about it, that's good.
Right.
And if I'm really hot on a project, I'll, if it like takes me over, so to speak, I'll just keep going and going until I finish it almost.
Okay.
So,
but I like what you said there. Slow and methodical. That's hey, some people like that, in different ways.
But I edit as I write, which is not a good process necessarily. So it takes forever.
But
I definitely don't edit as I write. I kind of just spit it all out on the page, and then I edit next time. But I go through lots of drafts. I'm sure people are fascinated about this. But that's, for me, I just have to move. I just got to keep moving. And, it's interesting how different people do have different ways of going about it.
And that's the difficult thing on the show is talking about the writing process without it being boring. Because in the early days, Dead Man's Tome, that's what we talk about kind of in detail sometimes. But then even my wife was like, this is boring. It's like, I know, right? We'll never reach like I guess not like a general audience is the key, but it's just whatever. Okay.
Well, I mean, you think about all those shows that they have where, of course, music, and I play music, and that's very exciting. And sometimes on stage, they'll have a painter who's kind of like throwing paint at a canvas, and that's kind of exciting. And I always joke about putting a writer up there, just like on the laptop. Just it's not that exciting. That's just not how it is.
No, it's not.
Create all the ideas. So if you people are listening,
we can make it exciting, though. We
can. Just bring some Coke into it and some nudity, and then all of a sudden.
That's where you have it exciting. That's the exciting part of the stereotypical writer life is the drugs, the drinking, and the lifestyle. If you are living that. Hey, cool,
Gary,
what's up?
Right now, we've been raging for 30 minutes with each one beer. So we're pretty reckless.
Well, I'll make it up for you. I got a whole bunch of beers lined up here. And it got.
Right?
I know it's a Monday night, It's a Monday
right?
night.
Yeah.
It's Monday. I don't think anyone's going to do this. But donations are open, and if you donate $5, I'll take a shot. I got Maker's Mark right here on the desk. I'll make that happen. Not you guys. Not you and Josh.
I was about
and
to
Gary.
donate, but all right.
Oh, I mean, if you want to, I'm not going to hold back or whatever. But the link is on the screen, streamlabs.com/MrDeadmanDT, the super chats, whatever. But yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about Terror at 5280.
Well,
Here we go. Yeah, go ahead.
so let's just get this out of the way real fast, and then we don't have to talk about it again. So
Okay.
we
Is that
we
bad?
put out something called Terror at 5280, which we frame as a local horror fiction anthology. So the story behind this is we wanted to put out an anthology that showcases a lot of the great writers of horror in Colorado, and particularly in the Denver area, the Front Range, Rocky Mountains, that kind of spot, right? So we wanted to put out this book and just get it out to the world. The truth is a little bit darker. So and Gary knows,
Yes.
don't try to stop me,
I won't
Gary.
stop him.
Okay,
Yeah.
we have the truth should be known. So there are some really, really, really terrible things that go on in Denver and Colorado. Everything from terrifying homes that kind of take over the owners to creatures that come down from the mountains with these horrible diseases, brain-eating disease epidemics, different forms of murder. So these are all real things that happen in and around Denver, and we've been trying to tell the world about it, but people keep coming to Colorado. They keep wanting to move here. The tourism industry is like, come here, it's great, there's free weed and everything like that. But we've been trying to get the word out. We've been seeing all these horrible things happen to people. Life, limbs, souls are lost.
This is a public service announcement.
This is a PSA, and we realized that we were being censored. No one would let us speak the truth about what's going on out here. So we thought, hey, let's pretend to put together a horror fiction anthology, put these true accounts in this, quote, anthology, and that way it can get past our censors. So that's really what's going on with Terror at 5280. Real life, terrible, terrible things, and it's a warning to stay away from Colorado.
Well, I like that. Stay away from my state, motherfucker.
If everyone stays in their states, we're fine.
And we don't know what's going on. Like, we haven't been able to figure it out. We think it's something to do with either blood sales, organ sales. It might even be trafficking in souls. And we think the highest echelons of government, media, all sorts of tourist industry, they're all part of this. That's why they want all these people to come to the state, and we're trying to do something to stop it. And frankly, Jesse, the fact that you're letting us say this on your live stream puts you in danger, which is why I'm recommending that you try to basically excise this part of the conversation, and then we'll just go on pretending that this is a normal horror fiction anthology for your safety.
Good luck on that. What is it? I got a book over here. They got me in trouble too when I was releasing it. Where is it? Oh, this one right here. The conspiracy issue. This one.
Oh yes.
Yeah. A collection of declassified stories in a horror anthology. And I just had to frame it that way to make it where it's escapes the censors, like you guys said.
That's what we're doing. So we won't discuss this aspect anymore for everyone's safety. We don't know what the repercussions are going to be for all of us.
Hey. You can't get off the hook that easily. Hey.
We're going to pretend that this is a normal horror fiction anthology.
Yeah.
Okay. Completely normal horror fiction. Okay.
So Gary, do you want to talk a little bit about Denver Horror Collective, the entity behind this?
Yeah, a couple years ago, we a group of us started a critique group, primarily working on our novels and short stories, and it just grew from there until we had how many members? About 45, maybe?
Yeah, I would say.
And with about 15 people that are very active when we meet. So it's the talent in this area is immense.
It's tremendous.
And it covers all, from people that are mildly talented to people that are tremendously talented, and it's just been a really great non-ego based group.
Right, and that's the idea behind it, is that everyone gets to participate. We have folks of all sorts of experience level. So we have critique group elements. We also have things like book club. We put out various different events. We have a newsletter. We have all different components, but we wanted to put out an anthology to showcase a lot of the folks in the collective itself, and then folks who live in the area. And then we brought some big names like Stephen Graham Jones, author of Mongrels, award-winning, won so many damn awards. Carter Wilson, who's a best-selling thriller author. Karina Bissett, who is doing some great stuff and is part of Horror Writers Association, Colorado.
Josh Viola,
who's
a publisher with Hex Publishing and a good writer.
Angela Sylvain, who's also a great novelist locally. Henry Snyder, Joy Yaley. Those are just some of the folks who are involved. So we have an editorial team. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I say we have an editorial team of about 7 of us.
Okay.
And we put the anthology together. And then there are also stories by several of us. So even though Gary and I were doing most of the editing duties, we also stuck a couple of our stories in there because we wanted to. So sue us.
Well, it's an opportunity definitely to put your stories in with some pretty good names. You have a really good roster.
But it's a cooperative, so it's we're all in this together, and we would have done this even without the big names.
Oh yeah, we thought it would be great to have varying experience levels, and of course that does help the book get out. But yeah, Stephen Graham Jones has been great to us. He's read at a previous event we had called Defy Your Demons, where authors talked about where their stories came from in terms of their personal fears. But I just want to mention really quickly the other folks on the editorial team, because it's a bunch of us. So myself, Gary Robbe, Mindy Bezdek, Bobby Crew, Desi D, Lisa Mavrutis, Thomas C. Mavrutis, and Jameis Wilkes were all part of that. They also have stories in this because they're part of the collective. But we have 22 stories in it, and then we have a foreword by John Palisano. He is a great author. He's also the president of Horror Writers Association, so he has some great things to say.
Then we have an afterword by Larry Berry, who is a legend in Colorado.
You guys have a great package here, and you got the blessing from John Palisano.
He gave us the blessing like a pope, basically, a horror pope.
That is good.
The pope.
I don't know if you want to be called a pope, though.
Mention really quick. The cover was done by the Rip Rock. He is an illustrator. So basically everything done with the whole anthology was by folks in our collective. So we had the cover done by him. We have Henry Snyder doing the layout as well. And he touched up some elements of the cover as well. And Henry was very instrumental in making this all happen. He made this a really professional, beautiful looking book. We're super excited about it, and it was this group effort, and that's really the heart of this. Is not about any of the individual authors or anything like that, but just we together as this collective. We're like, we want to kind of build our own gate in terms of publishing and do it ourselves for all of us. To rising tide of blood lifts all boats.
Like something like this is an actual, like, I don't know if I could say this, but it's like an actual like indie movement. It's like you guys are local, using local talent, high-end talent as well.
That's
a movement.
That's true.
Sure, that's what we're gonna steal that phrase. That's pretty clever, Jesse.
I mean, because there's all sorts of horror anthologies or anthologies you can find on the internet. They're open or what have you, and so you could submit. But this is like a local thing. Like do you have to be in Denver to be invited to this? To be in this?
I think our rule was you had to be living in Colorado at the time.
Yeah, but most of the folks are pretty close to Denver. But yeah, Colorado is our only requirement. And yeah, we have stories that take place in Denver, in the mountains, Thornton, this little
Boulder,
town.
one in Boulder.
Boulder, Joe's, this little town called Joe's, a few other towns I can't remember off the top, Lafayette. So we have it kind of all around, but a lot of them are centered in Denver. And yeah, everyone is a local author and all the settings are local. And a fun thing that we're going to do, not that any of the people who are listening would necessarily be attending this unless they live in Denver, but we're having our book launch on December 1st at a local place called Book Bar. And we're going to have a wheel that we spin. And part of it is you get to pick which stories are going to be read based on where the wheel lands in terms of the different setting. So we're going to have a little bit of fun with that.
Different setting. So
yeah.
So each story has its own setting?
Did it take place in the city of Denver? Did it take place kind of the outskirts?
In Boulder or, in different areas.
Yeah, to mix it up, because a lot of us have been to readings and it's like, how can we spice this up a little bit? So we have a few other things going on. But we should also mention, if it's okay, Jesse, tomorrow, which is Tuesday, so the 26th of November, so it's today if you're listening to this on Tuesday, it's yesterday if you're listening to this on Wednesday. If you're listening to this a week and a half in the future, it is a week and a half in the past. So you get it.
Yeah.
It's November 26th, and the book goes on sale, the paperback and the ebook on Amazon. So if you're into Amazon, you can do that, but we also have it in a bunch of local bookstores, lots of small indie bookstores, and then we also have it in Barnes and Nobles, and it's going to be in a few other places as well.
Wow, I'm actually impressed. You guys are actually doing it. Now, I've heard this before with other guests too, and not to say that this isn't great, but I like hearing stuff like this where it's actually like a grassroots movement. It's actually like they're publishing local. They are actually putting their indie book into an indie bookstore, going through the connections like that. And what I'm hearing here with Terra 5280, so not only is it all local talent, but the stories are all, I guess they're themed, well, they're not overlapping in their themes. Is that a way to say it? Is that good?
It's pretty safe to say, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
we're pretty careful about that.
Right.
Wow. How did y'all coordinate that? Like, what was the process of putting this together? It seems like it would be like a huge task.
Well,
we had enough people to divide up the readings and how we, worked with the authors and decided what stories we're going to be in and what stories we're not going to be in, and it worked out pretty smoothly. Actually, it was a pretty smooth process.
Okay.
And there were. I'm trying to think of the word. Good. You don't even know what I'm thinking.
Think of the word.
I lost my train of thought.
It's a smooth process.
Okay. That's right.
So you guys,
we have a story about that one.
You guys coordinated this thing. You worked together.
But the editing process was actually very easy. I mean, we had so many really good stories that were submitted that we didn't have too much of a problem with any story, really.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We got lots of great submissions. And we believe diversity is a great thing, but we pick people based on the merit of their stories. And it turns out that we have, of the 22 stories, 10 of them are from women, which is great because we always want to encourage more women in horror. And we have a couple folks from the LGBT community who, it's great that they're a part of that community as authors, but their stories actually touch upon those themes as well.
Yeah, and that's what I like to hear.
We got gay vampires. If you're into that, check it out. I could mention some of the other just topics of the stories if that's useful. Just a few.
Yeah. But I like that. So yeah, so you have a diverse roster and diverse stories, but it was the quality of the stories that mattered.
Absolutely.
Okay. It wasn't like
that was all that we.
What's between your legs?
But it turned out that we have a very diverse group of
I think
folks.
we were very surprised at the quality of the stories that came in.
Yeah, just in general, because Colorado.
And how many came in?
Yeah. And we ended up running a few on our website, which is denverhorror.com. So we have a newsletter called The Epitaph, which we put out every month from Denver Horror Collective. And so there were a few stories that didn't quite make it into the anthology. largely because we kind of had some stories that were already similar to that, but they were also great stories. So we put those up on denverhorror.com and in our newsletter. So if anyone's listening, go to denverhorror.com, check out our blog there, and sign up for our newsletter. There's some cool stuff, and you might even win a copy of Terror 5280 signed by us, or by special request. I won't sign it at all.
Okay. And people will be able to get this in paperback and ebook, I'd imagine, like you
Right.
said? Okay.
Yeah, paperback and ebooks. So our paperback is $12.95, and our ebook is $3.99 right now, and that's American dollars.
$12.95 and with 22 stories, is that right?
We are giving folks a steal. It's a bargain.
22 stories. Like, how many pages is this?
It is, how many pages?
We have 312 pages.
Oh, damn. Oh, man. For $12? Like, how are you even making a profit off that?
Don't get that 95 cents. We need that.
Wow.
Well, maybe now we'll raise it to $14.95.
It's to listeners of this live stream, it's $24. No, so we're not looking to make tons of money on this. We're looking to pay for itself, which it has to a certain degree already, in terms of we had some fundraisers. We did an Indiegogo, and people were very supportive, and we had a really fun event called Music to My Fears, which was readings of horror, right? But that's not it. We set each of those stories in the readings to live music. So we had guitarists, we had percussionists, we had keyboard player, we had drummers.
Each reader had their own particular musician who composed something specifically for the story.
Yeah, so we sold that out. We had like 80 seats, and we sold that out, and that helped fund this.
We had capacity of 80 seats, but we actually had probably 100 people in the place. So
it was a huge event.
It was over capacity.
Yep.
Oh my God, you guys are actually doing stuff. I mean, it's like
That
you're
was
actually
fun. That
out
was a
and
fun
doing
event.
stuff with
But
people.
we are looking to make enough profit. Gary and I were talking about we're probably going to run away with the money and go to Maui or something like that. I guess I was going to buy a house and he'd have a room there or something.
When I come to visit, right?
Yeah, we haven't decided the details. But yeah, so all the money will go towards pretty much my Maui beach house.
Hey. But you know what? At least you got local talent and people in the local area, in the community, to actually together and actually doing something, right? Hands-on approach.
And people in this community in the greater Denver area are very supportive of the arts and particularly writing.
Yeah, and we wanted to do this experiment to see, could we do an all local thing, everything local, and put in the local bookstores. We're doing the experiment. It's the experiment that's happening right now, and we'll find out how well it works. But it's already been a success as far as we're concerned.
I don't know. I might just have to copy and paste this idea for the Houston area. I don't know. It sounds pretty good. Like, but I don't.
At sea level, or however high you guys are.
You're below sea level, I think, right?
Kind of, sort of, but we have a lot of oil refineries and stuff in the area. I mean, hey, it's a pretty big city. It's pretty much oil and then construction. Those are the two career choices you have if you want to make money.
Right, of course.
So appetite for construction. That's probably what I'll call it.
There you go.
There you go.
That's the one. The construction workers are big horror fans. I've heard, so.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll have it to where it's only open call for construction workers. You have to be a blue collar worker. That's it.
Or people in the oil industry. That's either one.
Have blue collar horror. That's what you call it.
Yep.
That would be beautiful.
Blood and oil. Blood and oil is what I'll call it.
Yeah.
Easy. Okay. Wow.
Sawdust and oil.
Sounding great. All right.
Machine oil.
Well,
anyway, I don't work with my hands, so I don't know.
I got something out of this. I'm over with. Show's over, guys. No, I'm just joking.
Go
No,
to work on it. We're happy to spread the word. And that's the thing, because it's like we were talking about how back in the day there used to be these illiteracy campaigns or literacy campaigns, I guess. And we think we need them again, because I think that people are actually not able to read anymore functionally because of all the gadgets and short attention span stuff. So we're thinking, how do we how do we jog that memory, that ability to read? It's like, well, horror is nice and accessible, right? It's something that people can get a jolt out of, and it's not some dry, complicated thing. So in the back of my mind, it's like more horror, more reading, and then the more of a literate America.
We are ending illiteracy.
That's our main goal.
See, that would have been my problem here. In Houston area, most of the blue collar workers, it's gonna have to be bilingual, and it's gonna have to be
cool.
You know, the vocabulary is gonna have to be kind of just, you know, average. Just keep it simple, man. Just keep it simple, but it's gonna be all right. It'll be all right.
Have to be hyped. Yeah.
See spot run. See spot run over by a truck.
There you go.
There you go.
I wouldn't buy that.
That's one story right there.
But you have a point, man. It's crazy. I don't think people really do read anymore. I could tell you, as someone who has published for a while, people really don't read anymore.
And a lot of the folks who are not reading are men, and men are becoming these dummies. And it's like, I think horror does attract maybe more men. There's a surprising amount of women out there who are into horror, but also men. So it's like a good accessible thing for men and boys, you know, to get back into reading.
Right? Gotta bring back Goosebumps or something that would get them back into it.
Well,
that is happening, to a certain degree. Yeah, young adult.
We'll come up with a twisted version of Goosebumps.
There you go.
To meet the age.
Well, I think
the new times.
Young adults are kind of reading more than actual adults, though, is the reality. You know, that's why you go to the stores and it's half young adult.
But of course, in that demographic, isn't it mostly girls, like teenage girls?
Yeah, primarily, right. Good point.
Yeah, and the stuff they read is something's pretty crazy. Like, what was it? It was a popular series. I think it was called Crank or something. It was about meth use. Holy shit!
That's intense stuff. That's more hardcore than anything.
Yeah, and that was for like, I don't think that was intended for young adult, but
like a young adult type.
No, not really. I don't know what section you were in, Jesse.
No. Well, I'm just saying that's what a lot of them.
Oh, okay.
Kind of read sometimes. I'm just saying the base of my experience when I was working at a psych facility. So that's my. Those clients are pretty much reading that. I was like, well, that kind of explains it. Okay. Yeah, man, it's crazy, but you know, it's all about appealing to the demographic, right? So it's kind of like you put out something that they're going to enjoy, and it's something like this. Since it's a local area, local talent, it definitely has that angle. People are already interested. Oh, I know these people. Oh, it's from my area. Okay.
So, and from our own selfish standpoint, it was just a fun project to learn how to do this.
Yeah.
You know, put together an anthology and follow it from, the beginning steps all the way to the, the marketing aspects and it's pretty good education.
No, it definitely was. Yeah, and we'll consider potential future projects. But if I could just mention a couple of the topics in the stories just to entice your readers or listeners, whatever.
Oh yeah, we got to get into that, because one thing I like to do on this show is get into the stories, because that's where things get very interesting. So
yeah,
all right, let's go.
Yeah, really quickly though, just going through some of the topics. So one of them is about this underground facility where terrible things happen. One of them is about this amusement park where there's this old school kind of what is it? It's like a machine doll that says weird things. Stories that take place in the mountains and like a phantom cyclist. There's one story about somebody being in Boulder and literally not being able to leave Boulder because she attracts lightning to her.
Wait, she steps outside, she gets struck by God? What?
Lightning.
By lightning. It's based on this concept of the Boulder bubble, where people never leave Boulder, and it's also based on Chief, I believe, No Tie is his name, and it's a very interesting one. I don't want to give it away, but it's one of my favorite stories. I'm not supposed to have preference, but it's one of my favorite stories, Electric Stalker by Rebecca S.W. Bates. It's a beautiful story.
Okay.
We've got stories about vampires. We got stories about, well, I'm not going to tell you what that one's about.
We have stories back. What? What's that story?
I don't want to give it away. I can't. Something ranging around the mountains. How about that?
Breast.
A murders. We've got cemeteries. We've got creepy kids. We've got crack whore vampires. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like vampires and I like crack whores. Put them together.
Who doesn't?
You got my attention.
That's a good combination.
Can't go wrong with any of those. A few things, and we have several more. Won't get, but Gary, do you want to talk a tiny bit about your story, maybe?
Just that's kind of a haunted house type story on a phenomenon in Denver of people scraping homes and building new places in their place. So it's kind of a haunted house that doesn't go away, even if you tear it down.
You tear it down, but something else comes up in this place, like magically, like it just sort of happens.
I don't want to give too much away, but
Can't tell you the secrets. Well, a lot of stories have relevance to what's going on in the local area. So Gary's story basically is a commentary to a certain degree on gentrification that's going on here in Denver. You know, it's a story that stands on its own as just a really tight, strong, eerie horror story, but it touches on real themes, and we do have several stories like that are touching on real things that are going on here. And then we have others that are based on urban folklore, urban legends and folklore.
Right.
Yeah.
And stuff that happens out here. And like there's this one story called it's called Old Golden Road, which is a town of Golden. There's this road and it has this whole history to it. So a lot of stuff is like that, and some of them are just made up. I mean,
there's a ton of local legends and ghost stories in Denver and the Denver area that, I mean, we're not even remotely tapping the surface of all the stories and legends that, you know, that people could write about.
Yep.
Wow. With that much material, I mean, you have a lot to work with.
And it's a fun read too. You know, some of these stories can be considered literary. Some of them are, you know, but most of them are pretty much just, you know, very accessible reads. But, you know,
entertaining reads.
Definitely entertaining. Yep. But well written. Everything is well written. And those of us on the editorial team made sure everything was tight and looking good for your eyes.
And every story has a moose in it.
Yeah.
Every story has a what? I'm sorry?
One story might have an ungulate or two in it.
Okay.
That's Josh's story. Might have a moose in it.
Yes. I wrote a story based on, basically it's just, it's called Chronic Cold, and it's about a very intense winter in Denver where the town gets shut down and then some creatures come down out of the mountains, and they're not quite right.
Which is going to happen tonight.
We're living
like 12 to 18 inches of snow tonight.
Oh,
we're in
God.
a blizzard kind of right now, which is why at some point Gary's going to have to go home so he doesn't get entombed in the snow.
Well, you can have my heat. I mean, it's like 70 over here. You know.
Oh, yeah. We're supposed to get down to 10 tonight, which reminds me I need to flip on my switch underneath my house so my pipes don't freeze.
Oh, God damn.
That's
a horror story right there.
That is a horror story. But when the animals come down from the mountains, that's when we're doomed.
Okay, so the animals come down from the mountains. What are they? Gremlins? What are they? Chupacabras or something?
You have to read Chronic Cold and find out.
Oh, but you know me, man. I like to get a tease here, not just for me, but for the listeners.
They have, all right. They have hooves. All right. How about that?
Horses. Oh, demonic horses. I like it.
Well, not quite,
goats.
but close enough.
That's close.
That'll be my next story.
Demonic horses.
Where do horses wander around the mountains that you know of, Jesse?
I don't know any. I don't know any horses.
Actually, there are wild horses that they're not out here.
The story of the statue of the horse at the Denver airport.
That's right.
See, Gary knows.
Yeah, when the sculptor created it, the horse toppled over and killed him.
Right. And now, ever since then, that statue's possessed. The statue's possessed by the sculptor.
If you've ever seen that horse, it does look like a possessed horse.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a Denver landmark.
What do they call it? They call it. Blue Thunder. No, that sounds like a
Blue something.
Yeah.
Oh, this is real. I thought we were just bullshitting for a second.
No,
That's real.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, it's really at the Denver airport. Yeah, I mean, you can't help but see it whenever you come into Denver.
Yeah, the real demonic blue Mustang. Oh, Blucifer, they call him.
Lucifer. Wow.
Lucifer. Yeah, it's a big blue horse. And
wait. Cool Tactic in the chat is asking, elks, moose.
Well, that's pretty damn. Yeah, that's part of it. That's
okay, hold on. Demonic moose. I've never heard anything like that. That's crazy. By the way, how do you say moose plural? Is it just moose? That's it.
Meese.
No, it's just moose. Yeah, Mises.
It's just moose. Moose.
Just moose.
Moose is singular and plural at the same time.
Yeah. If moose could go in herds, there'd be 20 of them. Yeah.
I don't remember. I think it's in this.
Interesting.
I thought we had one story that mentioned it, but
yeah. Oh, wait. Vampires are nice. Another cool tactic mention. Vampires are nice as long as they're not the sparkling kind. Are they the sparkling kind?
No, we don't have any of that.
Okay. You said crack whore vampires, so these vampires are like fiends or something?
They're addicted to substances, so it's also a commentary on substance abuse, which is rampant here as it is elsewhere in the country. And I don't know if they're technically whores, but they're kind of like that.
They kind of are, yeah.
Yeah. So that story is by Henry Snyder, and he was actually on a podcast recently. I want to say it's like NPH something podcast, and he talked about the origin of that story.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Well, he should come on the show. I want to ask him the origin of this story. Now I'm curious.
Sure.
Oh, great.
Henry Snyder is...
He's very accessible. Yeah.
And he's been writing a long time. He used to own a publishing company, and yeah, he was instrumental in making Terror 5280 happen. And he's a member of Denver Horror Collective, and he's on our advisory committee or council because he's just so helpful. I'm always asking him things like all day long, always bothering him. But yeah, you should definitely have him on the podcast.
Live stream, whatever. I'll invite him tomorrow, man.
Sure.
I don't ever take a day off. You know, I'll invite him. We'll find a day. We'll find a day and make it happen.
You're doing this every night, pretty much.
Well, not this particular show, but I'm streaming just about every night.
Cool.
Wow,
that's awesome.
Something.
Yeah, getting the word.
Either I'm playing games over on Twitch, or the Game and Chill stuff, or I'm doing this and talking to other guests like yourself. It could be about books, could be about anything, pretty much. In October, we talked a lot about because October and spooky month, we did a lot of paranormal sort of guests.
Nice.
For a second, it kind of felt like we're kind of heading towards the what was that, Coast to Coast AM? It kind of felt like that. Like we're getting a bunch of like paranormal investigators and stuff on. It was interesting.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. You're by yourself, Devin. Yeah, no SK, no Tammy tonight. What are they doing together? Is Tammy babysitting SK because he can't handle his own life? I don't know. But it's just me. Anyway, so yeah, okay. I gotta ask you about the. You said there was a gay vampire. Who's the gay vampire?
There are two gay vampires. We have in the story by
Big School Tactic. I'm sorry.
So in Mountain Lovers, it's by Bobby Crew. He is also on the editorial team, and he is. Let me do his bio here so I do him proper justice. He actually put out a book of his own, Dining with Devils, and he owns a publishing company as well called Horror Crew Productions. So yeah, Bobby Crew. So Horror Crew Productions, a brand new indie publishing press that focuses primarily on LGBTQ horror.
Okay.
So that's a lot of the stuff he writes. Bobby's been in our writers group, Denver Horror Collective, for the last about couple years. And this particular story takes place in the mountains.
Okay.
And it's basically about these opportunistic vampires who are gay. It's kind of just incidental to the story. They just happen to be gay. It's more about their vampirism that is kind of the focus of the story. And yeah, they kind of they pay attention to where tourists are, and they do their
prey
thing.
on the tourists, yeah.
Yep. But that's one of the stories up in the mountains. So we like to have some of those, because really Denver is not just about the city. It's about the proximity to the mountains. You can see them pretty much from lots of areas in Denver. This is beautiful snowy
pretty much
mountain.
everywhere in Denver.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
can see the mountains. Right.
So Denver is more than just Denver. It's the mountains. They're one and the same. So we wanted to make sure to have a bunch of the stories take place up there.
Cool.
And that's
cool.
one of them by Bobby Crew.
Like, okay, now these stories, I don't know what's the level bullshit, what's the level hyperbole here, but when you say they're based on real stuff, like, you guys have been living there for a while. I don't know for how long, but have y'all really seen some real horror there in Colorado?
We're not going to talk about it, Jesse. We've already said too much.
Hey,
our lives are already in jeopardy.
Hey, I already talked about the Finders group, the CIA Finders. You know what the Finders are? I talked about them once on a video on this channel. I think I'm okay because the CIA has not knocked on my door yet or anything. So I think we're okay.
They probably have, and you just don't realize they were CIA.
That's true.
Probably
you
not.
thought they were Girl Scouts.
Girl Scouts selling the cookies, right?
Well, so what I will say is this. So Sean Murphy, he is in our writers collective. He lives nearby. He works as a nurse, actually. And his story, The Blue Lady, he has... So we were workshopping this with him last year, and he said this was based on a real-life ghost encounter in his house with his child.
That's still ongoing.
Yeah. So that story is technically nonfiction. You know, it's
nonfiction.
It's been fictionalized, but it's not nonfiction. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. So Sean Murphy's story, ghost story.
It's based on a true event that he experienced with a haunting of his
events. In his house. And when he brought the story to the critique group first, like, I have to say, it was the story that of all the stories, even though it was just a rough draft at the time, kind of gave me the most chill. And it kind of reminded me of, okay, I got to step my shit up. My shit just ends up being weird a lot of the time. I write biological horror, but this was just straight up scary. You know, when your kid comes into the room and just nonchalantly talks about this blue lady that he saw, creepy as hell.
Yeah, and as a parent, on my standpoint, it gave me chills. That, I mean, I related to that. And you could relate to that. I mean, when you're a parent and your kid starts seeing stuff that you want to believe the kid, but you can't believe the kid, and it's pretty scary stuff.
Right.
And other people, parentless people, might just be afraid of kids, and the story will be scary because of that, just because it has kids in it, and you have to like make them lunches and stuff. So it's something for everyone.
You know, I do think about, because I have kids, like what would I do if my little boy came to me and was like, I talked to Todd today and he says you're a poo-poo head. I'm like, who the fuck is Todd? Yeah. Todd lives in my closet. I'm like, what?
Likely will have that experience at some point.
Yeah, we guarantee.
Even one of my kids at one time saw his dead grandmother in the mirror, and that was very pivotal in his life, and he'll still bring it up. But your kids will probably do that someday. Whether it's real or not, you have to choose whether it really happens or not. But
it will probably be my daughter. That's
scary
probably
stuff.
Yeah, my son, I don't know. He's more. He would be scared and run to me, but my daughter would probably entertain it. Be like, I just spoke with whatever, Elise, and she says you're a pee-pee head. Sorry, my kids just call me poo-poo pee-pee head all the time. It's like, I swear, every day is like a Terrence and Phillip routine from South Park. It's like poo-poo pee-pee jokes all the freaking time. It's like, come on now,
man.
Complete with the that shit. It's like,
that sounds like the next anthology.
right?
That's very likely.
Poo poo pee pee.
Well,
It's Houston pee-pee jokes.
yeah,
Probably.
very. That's a very niche market, but
I tapped
man,
into
why
that
not?
already with the Shitfest anthology.
Right. Yeah.
All the stories dedicated around bowel movements and the horror that is when you have eaten some bad tacos or truck stop food or whatever, and you are like praising or praying to God for forgiveness. You might be an atheist, but in that moment you're like, come on, please get me through this moment.
Truck stop horrors. There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Hey, Gary, we still have you. You got a jet?
No, yeah, I'm still here.
Okay,
I'm
good.
gonna leave pretty soon, but I'm still here.
Okay. All right. So, what is the craziest story in this anthology?
That's
That's a good question.
Like, as in, has the most mental illness associated with it? Is that what you mean by crazy?
That would be the literal translation. Yes. Okay. Most.
Or most bizarre type story.
I like the mental illness part, but
They're all pretty mentally ill.
So, I mean, some of these are up for grabs as to what they're really about, what's really going on. So, A Place for Katie by Melinda Bezdek. She's also on the editorial committee. Her story is about a little girl who does some naughty things, and you're not really quite sure. You know, it's one of those stories that leaves it up into the air as to what's really happening. But let's just say she does something wicked, and is she mentally ill? Is she, in touch with some other forces and doing something that needs to be done? It's hard to say. You have to read the story. A Place for Katie, it's called.
okay.
So that one's pretty intense.
Jameis's story is pretty bizarre. I don't want to give that. I don't want to give the story away. I'll just say it's a bizarre story.
So yeah, Jameis Wilkes on the editorial committee, but also in Denver Horror Collective and all that. It's called That Time Maggie Ghosted Me. It's the last story in the anthology. It's a little bit longer, and it's about online dating. And but it
goes one step further.
It does, and it's almost it's like a mystery story crossed with a horror story. And while you're reading it, you can try to puzzle it out because there's some cryptic clues going on. And it's a great piece.
She was a bot account. That's what it was. Maggie is a bot.
That's the ending. Yeah, that's basically just no, it wasn't Tinder. So
okay,
it's good. But, yeah, that's usually the ending of that story. So, yeah. Yeah.
There will be a sequel to that story.
Yeah.
There could be a sequel.
Okay. All right, that's cool. That's cool, man. Okay, so what about the most extreme and demented horror?
That's
the
a
one
good
that,
question.
like, is there a story in there that you had to, I don't know, like, second guess whether or not you really want to put it in there? Not to name any names, just because of the content, maybe how extreme it was, maybe.
I mean, I would say Henry Snyder's Taste is probably the most.
It's pretty intense.
Yeah, has the most intensity to it.
Stephen Graham Jones' story is pretty intense too because it makes you. It's a typical Stephen Graham Jones story. If you've read anything by Stephen Graham Jones, where you kind of scratch your head and
Mongrels.
This is
pretty good.
Demented thinking.
Yes. Yeah, Mongrels was great. But yeah, so this is a story, so it's a short one, and so like you might want to read it twice to kind of, but it's all there. You just kind of have to puzzle it out a bit. So that one's going to leave you scratching your head for a couple of days at least. That's for sure. But I would say Henry's vampiric crack horrors. There's some R-rated stuff going on in that one. So no, kids should skip that. Well, kids should not read any of this, frankly.
Well, I mean, if they pick it up and they try,
they come out with the kids' version of this.
Yeah.
We'll dumb it down for kids.
Yeah, we'll do that next time.
Right?
We'll simplify.
Hell, Dead Man's Tome has a kids line now. Dead Man's Tome Junior. We have 2 books out.
No.
Really?
Are you serious?
I'm serious. I don't try to mention it much on the show because I don't want to cross the streams, you know. Because what I do here on the show definitely is not kid friendly. You know, I'm drinking, smoking, like I don't care about my health.
Right.
You know, that's not a good look. I even worry about that with my own kids. They're like, don't look at me. But no, as a kids line out, and those books are actually sold more than any of the Dead Man's Tome stuff has ever sold. So I'm like, are you kidding me? So
That sounds like a market.
It is a good market. You write kids horror. Now the trick is, okay, what is the PG-13 line here? Like, can I have a death? How much blood can I have? You know?
Right.
I guess you navigate that. You know?
And how have things changed since R.L. Stein? So,
yeah.
You know,
well,
do kids read that kind of stuff, or are they looking for something different?
Well, from my experience so far, I only have 2 books out. I think they're looking for pretty basic, like kind of simple, like R.L. Stein, kind of just guide you through it. And, you know, like it's a simple experience. You're not gonna be really disappointed. It's just gonna it's nothing too extreme. Definitely nothing extreme. Just kind of bring it down to a kid's level. There you go.
That's all you need to do. I should also mention for extreme stuff. So, If I Shall Wake by Desi D, that one has some. It's not torture porn. It is definitely not that. But there is some.
It comes close to the line.
There's some torturous elements that are pretty intense. I would say that's one of the more intense stories. And it's funny because Desi D is a very soft-spoken, mild-mannered individual.
Okay.
And so it's surprising that she wrote that.
You know, what's interesting to me is whenever like a female author writes something like that, where it's like torture porn or something close to it. Renee Miller submitted something like that to me, Flesh and Blood, published by Dead Man's Tome. Also, kind of runs like that, and I was shocked when I read it. I was like, "You wrote this? Like, do we need to talk? Like what's going on here?" But
it's interesting how that works. So like, I'm actually not much of I'm not really into the torture porn so much, and I'm not really like that much of a splatter gore guy either. But you know, I'll read all that stuff and I'm fine with it. I got a strong stomach, but that's not where I gravitate as much. But what's interesting is I do find, like, I think back to a lot of my ex-girlfriends who they're not horror fans, but they'll always watch these shows about serial killers and just like horrible things like that, where I'm just like, I'm good with that, and they love that stuff. So sometimes there could be some psychological differences going on between, you know, maybe us dudes we're looking for one thing, and then a lot of times, you know, the darkest fears of some women could be a little bit different. So that might tie in. I don't want to speak for women, but I think that might have something to do with it. My very kind.
You can mansplain a little bit here. It's okay.
I'll mansplain. We're all men, so we can mansplain. We've been mansplaining for about an hour, but yeah, my ex, she was just such a sweetheart. And then, I remember she was watching, what the hell, it was like about the Menendez brothers stuff, and just like she had never heard of it for some reason. And she was just like watching this thing for 3 hours. And I was like, let's go to bed. She's like, no, I need more. And it's like, man, what's going on with you?
Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
So, yeah, sometimes our different fears come out. I end up just writing about weird, like, parasites. So I guess I just find them fascinating. And for my journalism, I end up learning about a lot of that stuff. So that's why I end up putting in the story. I'm like, come on,
that is your trend. Parasites. There was a story with Dead Man's Tome, Campfire Tales.
That's right.
The second one, I think the second one, right? It's been a while.
Viremia was about it was. I left it undecided as to what it was, but it was something that goes into a something and does something.
And Gary Robbe, I mean, he's been he had a story in the anthology that had no traction for some reason. March to the Grave. The
Grave.
Yeah, I like that one. I like the cover too. It had a cool cross on it and everything.
That was a great anthology.
Yeah, I thought it was like the Master of Puppets of Dead Man's Tome, but no, not at all. It was just, I'm sorry. It sometimes that happens, man.
I love writing historical horror, so that was a fun story to write.
It was a cool story to read. I enjoyed it. That was one. I just remember there was a lot of Oh, World War One, right? Or is it,
Right.
yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I remember it now. Okay, it's been a while.
And that was inspired when I was, because I wanted to write a story about World War One, but when I read about No Man's Land, the trench warfare, there actually are a lot of legends and stories about like people who would desert on both sides and have underground tunnels and become literally almost ghouls and come out in no man's land and strip the dead and everything else. So that kind of inspired that story.
That's cool.
Yeah, I can imagine so, man. In that scenario, you would try to do anything you could to get out.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
that'd be a nice place to vacation.
right, right. Take a vacay at no man's land.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what else. Well, talking about the most extreme, the most psychotic. Well, okay. With the roster that you have Steven, you have Carter. Just those two names alone. I'm not diminishing the other people as well, but with those two names alone, are you guys hoping for bestseller lists?
Hey man, you never know. It's entirely possible. Out here, I mean, there's a Denver Post bestseller list. I mean,
and then there's the Colorado Book Awards. I mean, that's a possibility that it could be up for that.
Sure. Why not? All that's possible. We just want to put it out there. We want it to get into people's hands, and we want people to read it. And we just want to create more writers.
And one of the responses we're getting is a lot of people are saying, "I wish I thought of that." I mean, putting out a local, because there is so much talent here and I'm kind of surprised that there wasn't something like this already.
Right. And I guess the thing we've done a little differently than other publications in the area, many of which are, pretty much all of which are very excellent, we didn't want to just put the big names in, right? Like we did want to have some big names, of course, that's important.
Yeah.
But we have folks of varying experience levels. Everyone, from, of course, Stephen Graham Jones and Carter Wilson, like these award-winning bestsellers, nationally, even internationally renowned.
There's Travis Herman. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that are really well known.
Right. So there's folks like that. And then, there's folks who are getting their work out there who have been published in various publications. Maybe they're not household names as of yet. We wanted to include them. And then we've got folks who are even closer to beginners, maybe folks who have sold one story or not even really technically sold a story. And we have a few of those folks in there. And, the editorial team worked together to make sure just every story became, all the stories were really great, but we polished every story. So we have a whole variety of folks from different backgrounds, different experience levels. And we thought that was really important.
That's very cool. And what was it like working with some of these big names? Because when we say big names, I mean, you guys aren't kidding. Like, they are like award winning. They are bestseller lists. What was it like working with them? What can you tell me about like what it cost you? If you want to go into that, I don't know. I mean, were they divas? Like, come on. What's going on?
We're still polishing Stephen Graham Jones' car every week, and we
have to do menial labor for him for the next year. But other than that,
no, they were wonderful to work with.
Yeah,
and I mean, there was no. Again, there were really no egos involved with any of the writers that we were dealing with.
Yeah, other than Gary, there are no prima donnas in the group.
Yeah.
Oh, he is a Gary. I think anyone with a first name Gary is going to be a little bit pre-Madonna. Come on.
That goes without saying.
Yeah. Anyone with the first name Jesse is going to just be all about himself, narcissist, right? Yeah.
Right.
And Josh he's even killed, man. He's
right.
Notorious.
Which, by the way, Josh, I thought your story was gonna be the cyclist story. When you started listening, I was like, I bet that's his. Totally wrong.
No cyclists in mine. Just snowbound. It's the wrong season for that.
Is there any hiking in your story?
How did you know? No, it takes place in an alley. There isn't far to hike, but there is a little bit of walking.
There's walking. Cliche. Josh Schlossberg. Cliche once again. Okay, I'm going to review this. I would give it 5-star, but Josh Schlossberg cliche of walking is in here. No, I'm just joking.
That's all people want. They want. No, that's what my viremia story was. Half of it was about a hike in the desert. I stand by the importance of going through every step of that hike in the desert. But yeah, and
it was a walk, but then it was a skinny dip, right?
Yeah, then other stuff.
That what got me. Like, yeah. I am what I am. Hot-blooded, heterosexual. That got me. I was like, okay, yeah, this is good.
I'm glad that was up your alley.
Yeah.
Is there a moose in that story?
There was no moose. There were no ungulates whatsoever.
No rabid elk or deer or anything.
But I did want to create an atmosphere of like an oppressive winter shutting down a city, because it's interesting if you guys in Texas don't know what it's like, but when it snows and a lot of snow, these cities shut down, and
I know what it's like, but in a different way. Like Houston doesn't get any snow, so when we do, everyone freaks the fuck out. Like our shutdowns would be an embarrassment to you guys.
Yeah, and then the floods, like Gary said, that's true. And then you get twisters, you get a whole bunch of. But then nature reigns, and actually, the idea for like creatures coming down in the winter. So to me, like this archetypal horror concept comes from J.R.R. Tolkien, where it's like the hobbits recounting some winter when the river froze and the wolves came down from the mountains across the river to maraud in the village. And to me, that I just love that concept. Like they can't normally come down, then somehow they come across that natural barrier and it's different. So I played on that theme for my story a little bit, but there are no hobbits.
No hobbits. These aren't hobbits. These are like rabid moose or something. Okay.
Something.
Yeah.
They're kind of like they're like hobbit moose.
They're gonna impel you with their antlers and shit.
Yeah. How would you combine moose and hobbit? Yeah.
They're mobbits.
Mobbits. They're like dwarf moose or midget moose.
Yeah.
They're like
moose.
Ponies. Moose ponies. Do they have that?
Like garden moose. Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. So if you're into those things, yeah, check out my story. Read all the stories though. And yeah, we're talking about, we're not sure, we were talking about doing an audiobook version. We don't know if that's going to happen, but maybe it will. And then you don't have to read it. You can just sit there and listen to it. Even easier.
That's how a lot of people consume books anymore, is through audiobooks and all that stuff.
It's fine. That's enough. And we should maybe we'll do a Braille version. I don't know. We should. Why shouldn't we?
Could even do a horror podcast where like y'all do like a series of episodes or dramatic readings with background.
Well, that's a possibility.
That is a possibility. Idea. So we do have
we could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, technically.
We have a podcast affiliated with Denver Horror Collective. So it's called Jameis After Midnight Podcast. So it's sponsored by Denver Horror Collective.
Okay.
And Jameis Wilkes, he's a DHC, Denver Horror Collective member. He's also on the steering committee and was part of the editorial board as well. And he puts out these occasional podcasts on horror topics. So it's less story readings and more kind of going deep into things like folk horror, things like that. But check out Jameis After Midnight on the various podcast platforms. And yeah, we might at some point do some story reading stuff. But have you, Jesse, ever done audiobook?
I've never done an audiobook. I've been asked to do a reading, and it didn't really go so well. But because I don't really have the setup for it. I mean, you'd think I would, but the sound, like, I have dogs and noise that come up, and it's like, okay, you guys want me to have it soundproof? Okay, good luck on that. Something's going to happen. Hell, even doing this podcast, I only do it at night because that's when everyone's asleep, and I can have...
I understand.
Something.
Well, there are companies that do it. So, yeah, we're not sure what we're going to do. We'll wait until the new year and see how book sales are going and see what the demand.
See what the response is.
Yeah. If people demand it.
There's quite a few horror podcasts that I'm aware of that are doing pretty well. What was it? The Grey Rooms? Yeah, that's one of the ones I listened to the other day. Pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good
I had one of my stories. It was, I think, the No Sleep podcast.
Yeah, No
picked
Sleep.
it up. I believe, and they did a whole dramatic reading of it with background music. It was really cool. I don't think they exist anymore, unfortunately. That was for my story, There Shall Be No Night. And just if folks have any interest in me whatsoever, I don't expect you to, and I don't blame you if you don't. But I write a lot of biological horror, and my website is joshsworstnightmare.com. So you can check that out, and that's where all of my publications have links to it, including Campfire Tales 2 with my story Viremia. So if you like parasites, if you like hiking in the desert, that story is for you.
That's right. Check that out. Campfire Tales Part 2. You get the first one too. So
my story was so good that it couldn't even go in the first one. People couldn't handle it. They had to get warmed up for it.
You know,
I'm afraid to ask, is there a Campfire Tales Part 1?
Yeah.
That'd be funny if there wasn't. It's just the part 2.
No, I discontinued that one. I was like, these stories suck. No, I'm just joking.
There's a 1 and 2.
That's a
great authors in that.
That was a bundle that was kind of fell in my lap, and the two anthologies they did okay. They didn't do well enough to reach the payout threshold, but which is like $10 each. So I guess it didn't really do that well. But 10 authors in each anthology with okay. But yeah, there's a story behind that. I think there's a publisher called Campfire Quarterly or something. They had some problems
Creepy Campfire Quarterly or something is what they were called. And yeah, they were going to put out the publication, and then they're like, hey, guess what? We're not going to. And then a lot of us were like, well, that sucks. And then somebody in the group, was it Leo who reached out to you? Is that how that worked?
And Leo's a good guy. I had him on the show too during the October Blitz. We did a show every single day. We talked about artsy horror films. Well, I thought we were going to talk about it, but what do I know about what do I know about artsy horror films? I drink wine out of a red Solo cup.
Yeah,
that's all you need to know about artsy horror films.
Good enough.
But it was a fun episode.
Leo X Anderson, right?
Yeah,
Robertson.
Robertson.
Yeah, I thought he brought it because I know, so we were in this anthology. It's telling, and we'll tell. We can talk a little bit about it, but like the idea of a lot of these indie publications, they come and they go, right? It's not easy to keep
My day
it
will
going,
come too.
right?
My day will
come
too. One
day.
day.
You've been doing it this long, Jesse.
Dead Man's Tome has lasted for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's getting around to where maybe it could pay its own, but I still kind of put my own money into it. So
one of these days, I believe in you. But yeah, so like it was this publication, and so that's what happens all the time. Is they fold all the time. So if anyone ever thought, well, surely some of the times when they fold, there's already works in progress, and that's what happened. So like we sold our stories to this publication, and then they let us know we're done. We're not even going to put this one out to print, which was a bummer. And then you picked that up and made it happen. You were our Mother Teresa.
Thank you. But you can use condoms. It's okay. I don't have a problem with that.
Always use condoms.
Only use them on a full moon night. Yeah.
Correct.
right.
Ooh, that's a story right there.
Oh man. But yeah, man, like you're right. These indie publications, they come and they go. Unnerving's still around. Unnerving, I think they're gonna be around for a while, right?
Yep.
Might be, but a lot of them just fold overnight, so it's hard to tell.
I mean, because I'm submitting stories on a regular basis, and I have this spreadsheet, and pretty much every time I go through a new short story, I have to cut out like 10 more because they don't exist or their websites just don't exist anymore. Like,
that kind of reminds me of the Dead Man's Tome origin story, because it's like that was the reason. It was back in like I think 2008. I was like, man, everyone's just folding. How hard could it be? And then,
well,
it's pretty hard.
And now we know.
It's pretty hard to make a living.
Terror 5280. But that would make a good story, wouldn't it? Like, where are all these horror independent horror publishers going?
Where do they go?
What's happening to them?
Drugs.
Yeah, that's probably
unemployment. They can't afford it anymore. They can't pay the authors anymore because they don't have money. It's a sad story, man.
Well, there's probably like a destitute camp for horror publishers somewhere.
They're all somewhere.
An island of
Probably
misfits.
somewhere in Texas, actually, but
Somewhere in Texas, right? There's a field.
That's where
in a desert area somewhere.
Yeah.
They have to end.
Texas is big
West
enough for that. Texas is huge, massive. Yeah, they could hide here. Come here.
Between Texas and Alaska. I mean, that's the
One of those places is where they end up. Yeah, and there's something's going on with them. Maybe there's more to it than meets the eye. Maybe they're being suppressed. Maybe
Being suppressed. We're being oppressed. We're being oppressed by Kindle, by Amazon.
they become government workers. That's
yeah.
Or
that's fitted into the government.
I don't know. I think there's something going on. I think there's something. I'm gonna get to the bottom of it.
that's my angle. That's the only reason why Deadman's so much around. It's because I am a government worker and I get government money. You know.
You're sanctioned by the government. You can say
Sponsored
that.
by
Yeah.
the U.S. government. Thank you, America.
And then one of my clients, they Google my last name, be like, "Wait, what? You do what now?" I can't explain. Just
Stable job, man. That's
That's
the
it.
key to horror anthologies. We need stable jobs. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
yeah, it's not
Well,
easy. They come and go.
Yeah. Help because it's getting really bad outside.
Oh,
Gary's got to get the snow.
Gary Robb has to go. Gary Robbie has to go. All right, Mr. Robbie, man. Oh, you know what, dude? Like, I think last time we were talking, you're drinking like an indie craft beer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always drink craft beer.
He's got another one.
I'm drinking
Just one, so everyone knows. He was
a Skull Splitter. I just finished.
Skull
Here.
Splitter. Wow.
Yeah.
Can I get that
who
over
makes-
here? Is that a local over there?
This is a English beer, I think.
We're gonna check it out. I'll probably go to Total Wine or Specs. I should find it there, maybe, hopefully. And last time Josh was on, we were talking about vagina beer. Beer brewed from yeast from a vagina.
We were talking about that. I certainly did not. I think you were more talking about that, and I was chiming in. But
It was something my wife
fascinating
sent my
secret.
way. It's like, you got to talk about this. It's like, you know what?
I was privy to it, and I participated in the discussion.
Well, I mean, it's interesting.
It is. Well, yeah, it's gross, and I mean the yeast has to come from somewhere, and we're not making that up, folks. Check it out yourself. Look it up.
Oh,
We're
great.
not. It's a real thing. I tried to see if I could order one for this night, but I think they cost like $100 a bottle.
Yes,
I'm not spending that much money on a beer.
A little
On something
bit.
I'm not gonna like.
Overpriced. But I'm drinking because of the relevancy. Gary had bought this for this other get together we have. It's called Moose Drool Brown Ale. So I'm drinking that right now because that is my lot, is to be saddled with cervids.
We were going to stick a moose in every story just for a gimmick, but we didn't. We decided not to do
That'll
that.
be the next anthology.
I like that. I like that. There's a moose hidden somewhere in each story. That's a common thing. Okay.
We'll work on that one.
Well, Gary, since you have to go,
I am heading out.
you know what,
It was
guys?
great.
Actually, we're actually pretty close to showtime now. Wrapping up. If Gary, since you have to jet, I guess one last question I have for Josh is, what is your favorite horror movie?
My favorite horror movie? You know what? As of right now, at least the most recent great horror. I saw Midsummer, and I loved that, actually.
I have not seen that yet.
I was one of my favorites, and the imagery was freaking beautiful, and it went from everything from gorgeous to like disgusting, and it was beautiful. Midsummer, yeah, I really loved it.
I gotta check that one out. I've been meaning to.
On my list, yeah.
Imagery, like as a book, it probably would have been great. I'm actually more of a fan of horror fiction than horror movies, but this one might. I don't know if it was a book or not, but the imagery was just so gorgeous that it was just perfect as a film, and I was enthralled by it and titillated in all the good things. So Midsummer for sure. Folk horror.
All right, we'll definitely check that out. When I say that, the reason why I never do, guys, because I'm always streaming. What do you think I have time to watch shit?
Right. I
I
understand.
kind of write during the day sometimes if I can. If I'm not watching not getting on to my kids. They're old enough now to where they're like getting on each other's nerves on purpose. Come on now.
But yeah, if we want to wrap up, can we just say once again, well, thanks for having us. Thanks for anyone who's listening. And check out Terror at 5280. You can go to denverhorror.com and find stuff from our website. Otherwise, it is on Amazon in a paperback or ebook. It's available through Barnes & Nobles. It's available through lots of local bookstores, and will be more bookstores. And that's... if you want to support horror, if you want to support reading, if you want to support local arts, if you just want to give someone nightmares, pick this up for starting tomorrow.
It will likely be talked about in the next presidential debate.
Oh, it'll come up. It'll definitely come up.
All right.
I don't know what they're going to say about it. It will be the one issue that everyone will unite on, basically, to try to censor Terror at 5280.
I see that. I agree, man. And it's a great project. I like what you guys are doing. I like that it's a local effort and you guys are actually involved in the community in a way. Man, I mean this. I'm a little jealous. I didn't think about this first. I'm actually inspired. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Inspired to do it. But
do it yourself. We give you our blessing, and we just ask for 80% of the proceeds. So.
We're not greedy.
I just hope I can pretend to not be an asshole enough to get it going.
Well, all right. We all aspire.
Being an asshole helps.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, don't worry about this too much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you made it this far, press the like button, share, subscribe. You guys take it easy.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the goat on Thanksgiving.